I don't want to get into details on what the conversation was. I'm pretty sure you guys know that we spoke. We had a conversation, and I don't want to get into the details. Yeah, I mean, I'm committed. Like I told y'all the other night, I don't have to prove that, to anybody. I don't think I have to prove that to anybody. I don't think I have to keep saying that. I don't think I have to keep talking about that. I know for a fact people know that, people see that, and right now my focus is playing ball and playing basketball and staying with these guys, because a lot of these guys never dealt with kind of all of this stuff before. Especially being in a market like New York and dealing with articles, and everybody has a different opinion on different situations. So a lot of these guys never dealt with that. So for me, it's all about being there, more so than ever right now during this time for them.
You wish your boss would stand up and talk sometimes?
That's up to him, man. If he wanted to talk, he can talk. If not, I mean, you guys could be upset at him about that. It's not my issue, not my problem.
This drama either distracts attention from the Knicks' losing ways, or maybe it highlights it. Coley Harvey is in Boston, where the Knicks play the Celtics tonight. Coley, what are Jeff Hornacek and the Knicks saying about this whole deal?
Yeah, well, that was a question that I had for Jeff Hornacek, exactly what he's seen from Carmelo as far as handling this. And we'll get to some of that in 1 second. But I want to point out, it was right in that corner right there behind me where Carmelo and Hornacek actually just addressed us here at TD Garden. And, of course, they've got a game later tonight against the Celtics. But the big story is about that meeting. Melo not wanting to give details about that meeting, but he did say to us that you didn't see there on camera, it was a very short meeting. He said he and Phil Jackson were not breaking bread together during that meeting for very long. Now, during the shoot-around, we did get a chance to see Melo on the court for just a moment. He was talking with Hornacek, and there didn't seem to be any tension between those two. He was throwing up shots. They were talking about offense. Hornacek was smiling every time Melo seemed to talk to him. So it seemed as if those two were good. Phil Jackson not in the building at the time. As far as Hornacek and what he's telling the team, he's trying to keep the rest of the team away from distractions.
Tell them not to listen to the media and all that. That's the hard part when things are out there. There's a lot of stuff that people write about, and as players and as coaches, you gotta just kind of ignore all that stuff and stay together as a team and go out there and focus on the game. We've had a lot of close games lately. We haven't pulled any of them out, but all it takes is one good win like that could turn it all around. We can't let it fracture our guys, and we just keep working on things and trying to stay positive with them.
Now, he said it could take one good win. This would be a huge win for the Knicks if they get it done tonight against the Celtics, winners of 7 of their last 8. So certainly a big game for New York in that regard. And again, this comes on the heels of another drama. Last week, we knew what happened with Derrick Rose. Now it's about Carmelo Anthony. And real quick notes going into tonight's ball game. 2 players are questionable for the Knicks. That's Kristaps Porzingis and then also Joakim Noah. Porzingis, it sounds as if, is getting a little bit closer with that heel injury, but he's having a tough time driving off that, according to Hornacek. So we'll see if he ends up playing tonight. That could be important for New York for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The Knicks guarded expectations coming into this season. They are right now 11th in the East, losers of 11 of 13. Coley Harvey giving us the very latest from Boston.
All right, David, thank you for that. For more on the Carmelo and Phil drama, saga, whatever you want to call it, we welcome in Frank Isola from the New York Daily News and Around the Horn. So, Frank, you've covered this team for 20 years. That's 2 decades. How is this year, with this relationship between Phil Jackson and Carmelo Anthony, different from what you've seen before?
Well, I think it's just getting worse, and the more you lose, of course, the relationship is going to get worse. And you could see it when you look at Carmelo Anthony's face. He's tired of having to answer questions about things that are being said in the media, sometimes by Phil, sometimes by people that know Phil. And it's funny that they're saying Phil called him in to ask him if he wants to be in New York. The sense that Carmelo gets is that Phil doesn't want him in New York. Carmelo has made it clear, Carrie, that all along he's wanted to be in New York playing for the Knicks.
Okay, so if Carmelo has made it clear, why is this a question? There's a no-trade clause. He doesn't have an option.
Yeah, and I think really when you look at the situation that the Knicks are in right now, it's really best for both teams, where the Knicks are as a team that needs to rebuild, especially with LeBron James in the Eastern Conference, and where Carmelo Anthony is at 32 years old. It's certainly a fair question to ask, but the only reason it came up is because Carmelo was responding to something that was written by a confidant of Phil Jackson's, and Carmelo feels like it was Phil that told this guy or got the idea from him. That's why Carmelo said, if that's the way that side thinks, maybe we need to sit down and talk about it.
Okay, so let me talk to you about this. You have an article out right now that says Carmelo and Phil's relationship has, quote, been on the rocks for nearly 2 years. What is the root of their problems?
Well, I think it really goes back to it's not good communication, and that's funny because Phil Jackson has always said the reason he got rid of Derek Fisher was the communication was not good. There's a lot of things that Phil Jackson has said in the media that bother Carmelo Anthony, and you look today, Carmelo's the one that always has to stand there and address what Phil Jackson has said, and Phil Jackson never has to make himself available. So I think that's part of it, but the losing has a lot to do with it. I think he felt like Phil would do a better job putting players around him, and that hasn't happened.
Okay, so Frank, am I getting the sense that you feel that Phil Jackson should be answering some of these questions?
Well, at some point he shouldn't care. If you go back to last Tuesday when Derrick Rose came back to the team, I think that's up to the team president to explain the situation regarding the point guard, why he wasn't suspended, why they decided to fine him, what the status is going forward. So Phil Jackson never seems to want to take on that responsibility. The Knicks needed a face of the organization and a voice last week, and Phil Jackson didn't provide it, and it seems like Carmelo Anthony is always the one answering questions.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony or perhaps other players on the team. If you had to place blame here or fault, who is at fault for the way this has played out so far?
Well, I think Phil, going through the media, constantly taking little shots at Carmelo, certainly isn't happening. But when you look at the roster, Phil has taken all these players. He's the one that's responsible. And some of them are good. Let's face it, Kristaps Porzingis, some of the young players are good as well. But it's a weird roster because Carmelo's 32, Porzingis is 21. That part of it doesn't match, especially once again with LeBron in the Eastern Conference. He shows no signs of slowing down. So right now you have a team that should be rebuilding, and you're sitting in 11th place.
All right, you bring up Porzingis. Can you address the reports that the reason why this has all become an issue and Phil speaking through the media is because they want Porzingis to be the future of this team?
Well, I think it doesn't matter anyway. Kristaps Porzingis is going to be the future. That's why I believe it's best for Carmelo at some point to say that he wants to move on. But I don't think Carmelo wants to give Phil Jackson the satisfaction of running him out of town or outliving him, I should say, in New York. But the future of the team is Kristaps Porzingis. The problem is the future needs to be now because the Knicks aren't even a playoff team right now, much less competing with the Cleveland Cavaliers for a championship.
You say outlive. Who will outlive one another? Will it be Phil Jackson or Carmelo Anthony? Let me just hang on that right there. How do you see this all shaking out?
You know what? I still think Carmelo is not going to waive his no-trade clause. The Knicks could get to a point where they could conceivably look to buy him out or just outright release him. I think Phil Jackson will probably outlive Carmelo Anthony in New York because the Knicks hold that card where they could just release him.
Wow. All right. That's interesting. We'll see you on Around the Horn today at 5 Eastern. Thank you so much for joining us here on SportsCenter Coast to Coast. We appreciate it, Frank. Come back anytime.
Anytime, Carrie. Thanks.
Thank you.
The champion Tyron Woodley, the challenger Stephen Thompson. Here we go. Oh! Big time right there. Oh, again, goodness. Boom. Stung him.
For the winner by split decision and still.
I thought I won the fight. After the fourth round, I thought it could have been close to a 10-8 round.
All right, so on March 4th, folks, the rematch between welterweight champion Tyron Woodley and Stephen Thompson. It goes down UFC 209. So first, let's talk about that fight. It ended in a majority draw. So you were very convinced that you won. You look back at it now. Did you see how it played out?
I think he was convinced I won. You look at his facial expression when they raised my hand, it was almost giving up love, like, it was a good fight, he won. I was the only one that did some, fight-ending damage in that fight. I hurt him bad in the first round. I hurt him really bad in the fourth round. A lot of people thought the fight should have been stopped. And then every round outside of that was a close round. So we're here today to run it back.
All right, to run it back. So if every round, in your opinion, do you agree? You weren't looking at him like it was over.
I had second, third, and fifth round. Yeah, he did some damage in the first, hit me in the nose. That was about it.
Almost broke his nose, cut him open.
He didn't break it. A little cut.
And both his eyes was black like a raccoon.
But he did smoke me in the head a few times in the fourth round. Ended up getting a deep guillotine in the fourth. Ended up popping my head out, finishing him up on top, helping him off the canvas in the fourth round.
With no punches
going
landed
in the fifth.
either.
So, you know what? We're going to be running it back anyway.
You're going to run it back.
We're running it back.
So what's the edge that you have over Tyron?
You know what I mean? Just being not knowing what I'm going to be throwing. You know what I mean? I've got a karate background, very hard to get ready for. You know what I mean? Hard to bring in guys to help you with that. Of course, he's a smart guy, so I know he's bringing guys in to help with that.
Okay, so what are you doing to prep for this man, if anything? Because you seem like you got it all, like you ready.
No, I'm ready for sure, because he not only do I feel like he comes with a sense of entitlement. I'm the champion of the world, and I feel like at a certain level, when I was a contender, I respected the champion as so, and I just I really don't feel that authentic respect, So with that said, I've done everything, but I'm faster, I'm stronger, I punch harder, I'm a better wrestler, I'm a better grappler, and even his gift, which is his elusive karate, I was able to neutralize that and stop that in the last fight. And all I'm going to do is expound upon that performance, bring in better training partners, many of which are better strikers than him in his own world. So I'm going the extra mile just to silence the haters and really put the nail in the coffin.
Well, let's talk about that authentic respect and entitlement he feels you have.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get that. You know what I mean? He thinks I'm entitled, that I begged for this fight. I was given the contract. That was it. I got it in December. I signed it, didn't ask for anything, didn't renegotiate, just signed it and sent it back.
Do you respect him as a champion?
I respect him as a champion. Are you kidding? I mean, he's a champion for a reason.
But he didn't respect me before I punched him in the face. After he got out the octagon with me in 5 rounds of war.
I don't know where you get that. I've always respected you, man.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
The thing that I feel is that every time we do an interview side by side, it's so respectful, we're so cordial, we're so buddy. And then I look at all these interviews, and the video's online. You can pull it up on YouTube.
Oh,
he don't deserve the title shot.
That's the thing.
He don't deserve the title shot. I do respect you. You know that. I've never not respected you, though. That's the whole thing.
Well, how can you say that? How can you say that?
Tyron should relinquish his belt as a champion. Tyron Woodley's going to lose to Robbie Lawler. I decide I should fight Robbie. He's going to win anyway. That's what I should do. I need to be a better champion. Explain that to me. How do I need to be a better champion? I wanted to ask you that anyway.
All right, first off, if you were the champion.
I am the champion.
I know.
So I wonder how you're going to tell me how to be a better champion.
Especially if it was a draw.
If you were the champion. If you were the champion, which you're not.
You run it back.
So how do you tell the champion of the world and the best weight class in the world how to be the champion?
How can you be okay with the draw?
How can you be okay with knowing you lost the fight?
How can you be okay with the draw?
How can you be okay with knowing you lost the fight?
After we drew, he's already asking for other fights. Other people,
because I moved
for
on.
Other fighters, he's asking for going up a weight class, asking to fight Bisping. I'm like, run it back, man.
Okay, so were you okay with the draw because you wanted Bisping?
No, I wasn't okay with the draw, but when you say run it back, this is the whole thing. Any person, the 3 blind mice could have watched that fight. 3 judges on the first time having.
But what was it?
But what was it?
What'd they say?
What was it to you?
What was it? It was a draw.
I
thought I won second, third, and fifth round. Yeah, I give you the 10-8 in the fourth. Which
so how did you win the third round? What'd you do?
I appointed you, man. What you talking about?
So we fighting or we pointing each other?
It's still a fight. It's a game, baby. You know how to play the game. I know how to play the game.
So you in your mind, you're like, I won, so you wanted to move on. And in your mind, a real champion wouldn't have said, okay, I'm happy with a draw. I'll take a draw.
Exactly.
Your take.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we were.
My take is me and most of the world. Granted, going into this fight, I feel like Wonder Boy was promoted as he was the champion. I'm the champion. I knocked out the baddest welterweight in the world in record-breaking time, and I don't get the respect I deserve. So with that said, don't have him walk out with an American flag like I'm from a different country. Don't have him paraded around. Don't have everything revolved around him. And then I go out there.
Well,
I prove 1 second the champion's talking.
I walked out with a flag because it was for the wounded vets. That was it.
And then on top of that, after that, everybody, he got all this muscle. He can't make it 5 rounds. Well, I beg your pardon that most of the damage that was done was in the championship rounds. Mm-hmm. That he barely survived out of the round. Many fighters and many judges would have stopped. Referees would have stopped that contest when I dropped him for the 3rd time in the 4th round. So,
Tyron, why do you think he gets more respect? Why do you think they treated him like he was a champion?
Just because it's people don't like to hear it, but it's a culture of our sport. We're dealing with a different set of rules.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that.
Why do they promote Wonder Boy more?
Because the UFC fans in general, we go through niches, we go through genres of people we like to fight. Mm-hmm. This is a genre of they want to see a clean cut guy like this young man to the left doing a razzle dazzle, super flashy fighting, and that's what they're in. Before then, it was the guys that would fight to the death. Some people say it's race and sport. The second I bring up race and sport, I'm immediately race baiting, but I can point out clear facts where
you're saying because
no
he's
other
white,
champion has been treated like me.
You're saying he's white, they support him more?
I'm not saying they support him more, but he sure as heck has some fans that, cross the line quite a bit of time, which is not his fault. I'm not saying that's him. Let's get that clear because I don't want to go on record. I do respect him. I have been friendly and cordial with him. I will be friendly and cordial when we walk out. But let's put the cards on the table. Real is real. If I was a different complexion, I think people and fans would treat me a different way.
Why? Why is that?
That's a great question. I would love to know why.
I don't see that at all.
You don't see that at all?
I don't see it, man.
Okay.
No, I mean,
I
think we were promoted the exact same way.
Who's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world right now?
Best pound for pound?
Currently.
What do you think?
Best pound for, as far as the rankings, best pound-for-pound fighter. Demetrius Johnson, African-American male, completely a Tasmanian devil. Why don't he have the big endorsements? Why is he making the most money? Like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Think about it. The second John Jones slip on a banana peel and do something that, granted, he's his own enemy, but they can't wait to throw him underneath the bus. But other people of different races are given so many different chances.
He threw himself under the bus.
Yeah, he did. But
what are you talking about?
Hey, but there's plenty of other athletes. You know, we can have a whole show on that.
Is there any validity to what he's saying that he's not being treated like the other champions?
I don't see it at all. No, man. I mean,
I'm by far the worst treated champion in the history of UFC. Blatantly facts. And guess what? When March 4th come along, UFC 209, I will defend this belt. I will move forward in my legacy, and I will continue to do what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I fight for my family. I fight for God. I fight for my legacy. I don't fight for fame. I don't fight for money, contrary to what people believe. But I'm going out here, and I'm trying to be a legend. I'm trying to be the best welterweight that ever graced the octagon. And to do that, I got to knock him off again. And I got to knock 3 or 4 other loudmouths off again until it's undeniable that I'm the best welterweight on the planet Earth.
Your take. You say you don't see that, but
I don't see it at all.
I feel like you might have a little empathy.
You know what? He is the champion. He's a champion for a reason. He's a tough guy. I respect him, even though he doesn't think I do.
I think you respect me, but I do think you're entitled to this fight.
I'm not entitled. I didn't beg for this fight. They gave it to me.
So why you
They gave it to me.
So why you put out bond agreement on the internet?
They gave me my contract. I signed it. Didn't ask for it. Didn't renegotiate. That's all I did. Signed it. I didn't beg for it. They gave it to me.
Man, I watch you on social media beg for it, man. It's kind of
I did not beg for it. See, go back and see on social media where I begged for this fight.
You like and retweet every comment of, oh, he won.
Dude,
if
it's a draw,
did you feel like you won the fight?
That's it.
Let me ask you this question. Did you think you won the fight when we stopped?
I did. I thought I won 3 of the 5 rounds.
So you thought that you got nearly knocked unconscious, nearly choked out, completely battered in the first round.
But it didn't happen.
And you thought you won the fight after that.
That was almost.
I'm just asking. I just want to see, you know, where we at.
3 of the 5 rounds.
I don't know about you guys. UFC 209, March 4th in Paradise, Nevada. Or Nevada. What is it? Is it Nevada or Nevada?
Fight City.
Nevada.
All
right.
Fight capital.
I'm into it. This is interesting that you think you're the worst treated champion.
It's no think. It's a complete fact.
All right. I need to know. The Twitter will respond. Your social media is about to blow up. RIP to your mentions. A pleasure and good luck to you both. Can I get you guys a shake on it? Because I think you guys respect each other.
We respect each other. He already know that. And we're going to get down March 4th, UFC 209. Make sure y'all tune in and buy the pay-per-view anyway.
Check it.
More importantly, black and white, David, it's always the issue sometimes. I'm going to send it back to you, friend. Ooh.